Let's talk winning Mindshare, right? So you've got your core market area. This is the area you want to get known. How do you make sure when people are ready to make that move, they think of you first? Talk to me.
You want me to give you the answer?
I want you to tell me what you would do to make sure you establish yourself as the go-to agent in that area.
Oh,
how do we do that?
That's a massive question. Like, that's really detailed. I mean, look, and there's lots of different ways of doing it, isn't there? But I say it starts with the content. It starts with the consistency, and in making a decision on what the strategy is going to be for you to deliver that. So you could force yourself to do certain things that you don't really like. Mm-hmm. You could force yourself to start something, do it for a couple of weeks, and then what happens to most, and not just in agency, in most businesses, you stop doing it. You don't become purposeful in it. So it becomes really, really challenging. Mm-hmm. What would I do? I would have a consistent message around showcasing that I understand the local market, not by just talking, by showing that I understand it. And I do that in multiple channels. So I wouldn't just rely on one. I wouldn't just put it on my direct mail messages. I wouldn't just put it on my landing page. I wouldn't just send it on my email. I wouldn't just send it on my social. I'd do all of that.
Yeah.
To make sure that people get to understand who you are and what you know about the local area. Yeah. And you have to be careful you don't spam people with it. I think there's timing on all of those channels. Yeah. It can be a little bit more regular on social media, as an example, because they're flicking past it. They're going to miss certain things. So you've got to put certain messages out there. And if you just rely on one message, they're not going to see it. So the strategy is more messages on social media than email going out, because people will feel like you're spamming them if you're sending them 6, 7, 8 messages a month, right? Yeah. So it has to be a different strategy per one. But that is what I would be doing, and showcasing that I understand the local market. And then over and above that, how can you help them? What's the value that you bring? But I'd probably start in a place where I understood the local market at a very deep level. Yeah, agreed. So a couple of ways of doing that. I'm sure we'll get into these on other podcasts. First one is you've got to know your numbers. Right? Yep. You have to know your numbers of the market. You need to be tracking how many properties are on the market in your area right now, how many new ones came on last week, how many are going under offer, what's the average number of days on market, how many properties are being withdrawn from the market without selling. You've got to know all of these numbers so that you can follow the trend. You can see when the market starts to shift. And this is I'll get on my soapbox a little bit about this, so I'll try not to. It's really, really important for us to be advisors, consultants. We want to encourage people to come to us when they're considering making that move and they don't know if now's the right time, right? Yeah. We don't just tell them this is what's happening right now. I mean, it's not rocket science. People can feel whether or not it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. If they can see properties are staying on the market for quite a while, then they know, oh, it's a bit tricky out there. Yeah, you say that. I agree people have a handle on where they probably are with their price, because a lot of people love property. They're looking at Rightmove and all the other portals. They can kind of half work it out. But I think sometimes owners can lose sense of the amount of competition on the market. Yeah, yeah. And that's when they lose sight of, actually, am I correctly priced here, or have I made myself anti-competitive? I absolutely agree with that, of course. And again, that's why we need to educate, right? And it's important that what we're putting out there is educational and it's informational. What I mean is to track the numbers of the market every week so you can spot when things are starting to shift. Because if you've got people in your database that you know are waiting right now, like they're waiting to put their property on the market because they're waiting for interest rates to drop, for example, or they know they've got 18 months before little Johnny needs to be at that primary school, they've got a bit of time on their hands, right? If we can see that things are starting to shift and we're moving away. Whoever made up little Johnny, by the way? I don't know. As soon as you said it, I just semi-laughed. It was just like, why? So if this was me and Michael Bailey having a conversation, it would be Susan. Okay.
I don't know why
it's Susan. Is that just randomly just make a name up?
He always says Susan. Okay. Anyway. Yep. So yeah, if little Johnny needs to get into that school, they think they've got time. But if we can see that the market is starting to shift, it looks like it's trending back towards a balanced market, maybe even towards a seller's market, because something's happened and the market's moving. We need to be picking up the phone and saying, listen, at the moment, it's this. I think we've just hit the bottom of the market, because you can't time the market perfectly. You cannot time the market perfectly. You only know when the market is moving back up again, when it's already on its way back up.
But what you're talking about here, though, is the day-to-day activity, knowing the numbers of what's going on in the market to be able to advise someone when you get to talk to them.
Yeah.
The challenge is, how do I get them to talk to me?
So talk to me about that. How do you get there? There's nothing worse than stepping outside of your front door and seeing a for sale board that's not got your face on it.
Well, what's the hardest thing for someone to do?
In what
Anything.
sense?
Anything. Start.
Yeah, of course.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Guess what? Got to start.
Made the decision. Well done.
So, certainly from doing this for 6-7 years, I won't move my hands because my youngest would want me to, but I refuse with 6-7. You've got to start somewhere, and you've got to make it valuable to the homeowner. Because what you just said there, and I'm not being disrespectful, but if I'm a homeowner that's going straight over my head, I'm not interested in it, and if you put that out as content, I'm just going to be turned off. Mm-hmm. So you've got to have, that's brilliant, by the way, when you're advising someone on a price drop, on where to start the property, to give them real data and information where they can't argue about where the market's heading, not necessarily where it is today. But how do I get in a conversation to begin with? What content can I put out there to make sure that I can do it consistently and make sure it's going to hit home, and I've got enough of it on certain channels to be able to do this every single month. So this actually happened. I'm not going to name them, but basically here in Keller Williams anyway, we were working quite closely with a data business. Mm-hmm. And that helped them with social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we were negotiating with them because we felt the price certainly wasn't working for us. Not necessarily the price, to be fair to that business. It was more on the engagement of the agents. Because when you ask agents, busy agents or agents that just don't like technology, and that's just not agents again, that's just so many people in the world, that you being one of them,
absolutely one of those
really
people.
hate it. And I'm one of the weirdos that actually like and enjoy it.
Nerd.
Yeah.
I can say that. I'm your sister. You're not a nerd. You're
hurtful,
an amazing human being. I'm so sorry.
A nerd. But if that means I'm a nerd, then I'm okay with that.
And I love that you're a nerd, because you're brilliant.
I'm not a nerd. I was joking when I said that.
Okay, you're not a nerd.
So when I looked at, and like anything, whenever there's a problem, whenever you're experiencing an issue, my brain does something different to a lot of others. My brain doesn't turn around and go, oh, well, that's a shame, I can't use that business anymore. My brain goes, okay, we're not going to use this business anymore. I now need to find a solution in a better way where the agent doesn't have to do any work, gets the data, gets the social media content, has articles automatically created for them, and I can put that across all of my channels with a click of a button. That's where my head went. Then I went, how do I do that? How much is it going to cost? And how fast can I do it? Because our deal was going to run out in 2.5 months. So I went and built it.
Okay, so walk us through, not in detail, don't need to get into the detail, but so your brain was talking about you need to be regularly putting this content out. Yeah. You need to make it easy for people to do it consistently, because we know that's the toughest thing in the world, is to do something consistently, because the minute you get busy, you can't do it anymore. Yeah. So there's got to be automation involved in that as well. Where are you going to pull the data from, and how are you going to create something that they can just click a button on? So tell me where you started and where it ended up.
Well, it starts with data. Where can I get the data from? So I'm not going to tell you where I get the data from. but I get the data. But then what data can I get? And how can I... Okay, now I've got the data, and an agent could look at the data and then go, well, that's amazing. Now what do you want me to do?
And this is, just to go back a step, this is for their hyperlocal market, right? So their postcode area that they're focused on, the data's coming in for them specifically. We're not talking national statistics here. A
little bit of both, because I do think it's important that from I really agreed with Kate Faulkner that was at our Mega Camp event, which is actually understanding the economics of the industry is really important about so local markets get impacted in different ways depending on supply and demand. Yeah, right. That's fact. However, you can get impacted in a local market by something as crazy as the war in Iran. Yeah, with good old Mr. Trump, right? We have all been impacted in a slight way. Some others, some not as bad because the demand is so strong. But we would all be impacted by it. So it is important that you have a macro level, as I call it, on the national economy and politics. So I looked at getting the data in, but then once the data was in, then looking to manipulate that into social media posts, which were that added variety. So number one, okay, some agents might like it being very statistical based, but headlines. So not a lot of information on that post. Yeah. But it's really hard hitting with a headline and some really big numbers that mean something to the owner. Mm-hmm. Like in pounds and pence, what's happened to detached properties in my core area of CM11-1, where there's only 4,500 people that live there. That's more relevant to me. I can't on a social media post say, hey, Claire Reddings, I know your house has just gone up by £455 last month, because I don't know where you live. Yeah. But I can say, if you've got a detached property that's 4 bedrooms, this is what's happened over a period of time. Mm-hmm. Then when you get the data, this is the bit may bore people a little bit, but you can get the data, and the problem is you can have a big switch. You can have an alarming spike in the data that then makes the data irrelevant. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work anymore because I just had a load of properties that just sold at a certain price because of whatever. There could have been a change to the market. It could have been all kinds of different stuff. So then you need to learn how to smooth those data points out. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not going to bore you. But then we basically smooth the data points. I appreciate you not boring me, thank you. So then we smooth the data points out to get to a point where I go, actually, that's more realistic. Mm-hmm. So you look at a rolling number rather than just, hey, this is what happened last month. This is where my maths has come, mode and median. Is that what you're doing here? I love data, but I get systems to do it for me. I'm not going to pretend my brain works out on stuff like that, like square foot of whatever. That doesn't interest me, so I'm not that much of a nerd. But so basically what we went away is then we automated the whole process. So the data comes in on the first of every single month. Our agents get 20 stat-based social media posts to put out there. They choose what ones they want to use. They might want to use all of them. They might only want to use a certain amount. Then we made it into commentary posts for social media, so it was more, rather than statistical based, it was based on giving an opinion and a headline of what's going on in the local market. Mm-hmm. We created about 10 of those. And then we added in the macro stuff on top to make sure that we understood it. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really important we then gave more of a social media management tool on top. So I'm giving the stats based on a core area, which could be CM11-1, which is 5,000 chimney pots, or you could go to a slightly bigger area of about 10,000. We don't recommend going anything above that. No. So we allowed that. Then we had the commentary. And then we said, okay, there's lots of breaking news going on all the time. Like, could we automate that? Could we make sure the agents could click a button and an article or a social media post is created off of that article and give an opinion on what it means to people in the area of CM11-1. So we built that as well. Okay, and what does it look like for websites and SEO? And I think you also created scripts for social media videos. Yeah, well, so we created, I personally think articles are really powerful, again, around the local area, or just having an opinion of what's going on. If you're just sending a load of generic stuff through to people that doesn't mean anything to them, and you're doing it on an individual email basis, you've got a bit of a problem. Because the last thing you want to do is be spamming someone 5-6 times a month on your email, they will literally unsubscribe.
Yeah, you lose them.
And you got a problem. So a 36 touch program should be a 36 touch program, but a smart version of it. So the articles have multiple purposes, really. So one, you've now got literally made for you articles that are available for you to select what ones you want on your website or landing page, depending on how you work. And then
this is a standalone website, right? Not like a landing page, or it's both.
Yeah, well, you can choose both, and we built that into the platform, so you've got your own website. So that obviously those stats and those articles are on there. But also very much on email as well, because now you can say, okay, what are my top 4 articles for May of 2026? And let's send those out to people, because one of the 4 is probably going to interest them.
So you put 4 articles onto like one email to say, here's my latest articles, something might be of interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the agents just click buttons. They don't have to think of headlines. They don't have to interpret what an article means. They don't have to make it relevant to the local area. They don't have to sit there and write 1,000 word article on something or come up with an idea. It's literally done for them. So yeah, that's kind of where it started to evolve from. And then we added on more and more bits and pieces, and there will be more coming on as we move ahead. So, you know, the AI part of it, this is the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Now we're able to create relevant, targeted, local, and authentic content for agents to show value.
I think this is the thing. Thank you for explaining that, by the way, and not boring me. I actually didn't yawn once, and you watch this back for proof. But
I tell you what, you semi-laugh though, but if I'm an agent and I'm doing what I just said there, and you're an agent that's not doing it, I'm really sorry. I know it's not about winning and losing, but I am going to win.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. But this
because it's just a numbers and maths game. Because I'm not bombarding
it's
people.
The consistency.
It's relevant data, and I will win through the consistency of the message.
100%. And no, I don't disagree. I know I'm joking about how boring it is and things like that, only because I don't like tech. But I think like most agents, or maybe that's slightly unfair, there will be the anomalies. There will be people in agency that are amazing with people. Absolutely love that connection with people and building relationships, and they're really good at technology and have a genuine interest in technology as well, because you can be good with it but not interested in it, or interested in it and terrible with it. So to be able to figure that out, like what you've just created there, for example, how can I do this myself? How can I automate it? What's my design? Like, I'm terrible. I'm so not artistic at all. Like, you know, if you said to me, Claire, go and create a leaflet, like that used to literally break me out in hives when I was a kid. And you know, your art teacher would tell you to go home and design a poster or something. I'm just like, I don't even know where to begin. I just don't have that kind of imagination. I don't enjoy it, so I don't even want to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
I've spoken to so many agents, I can't even begin to tell you, over the last 7 years nearly, and so many of them say, I know I need to do it, I know it needs to be consistent.
Yep.
I haven't got the time, or I don't know where to start, or if I tried to create a leaflet, it would take me, 3 hours to sit there and try and figure it out. So what you're saying is that you've created a multi-channel marketing approach, so a 36 touch, whereby it's all different things. It's social media posts, it's emails, it's scripts for social media, so you can do videos, which you can then email out to your database as well. It's blogs, it's content to add to your website as well, and all of it can be done when you tick a box to say, I like that one, ignore that one. Is that what you're actually saying?
Yeah, obviously there's a slight setup to get it sorted, but once it's a one-time setup is done, which could probably take you about 15 minutes, just pick and choose. And then you're off and running. And I think one of the other things that we introduced, which I think is powerful, is the fact that you're able to automatically share the listings of other agents as well, because that is the power of the network. Like, it makes you look good if you're sending relevant stock. The agent needs to be in control of what can be shared, which is what we've built. But again, it's just all about the network coming together and people supporting each other. That's what we see all the time.
It's the culture.
So why not give them a tool to make that super easy? So we did that as well. So it's all part of the same system. But look, I suppose it depends what your aim is as a company, right? So there could be some competitors listening to this now, and that's,
if they're smart, they
great.
will be.
Well, that's great. Go off and do it as well. But we're going to innovate very quickly. So we're already working on about another 7 different tools and systems, which are all focused around making the life of the agent easier to create more listing opportunities.
I've just got to take you back a little bit, because you brushed over that quite flippantly, where you just said, and we've got a tool where agents can share listings. Let's just talk a little, just for a minute, about why that's so important. Because if you're a new agent, either a new agent as in brand new to real estate, and you're going through the academy and you're doing all your learning and you're starting to build your brand, it's a great way to show that you are active. Now, obviously, it always gives acknowledgement to the agent that actually has that listing, which isn't you, but it does show that, okay, these are the types of properties that we have that aren't a million miles away from this location. So that works well. It also works well. You might have been an agent for millions of years, but you just haven't got started yet. So again, it's showing that activity. But what it also does, if it's getting shared across the network, then you're more likely to find a buyer.
What's
and
the
look
point?
at the market that we're in, right? We need to reach more people.
There's loads of benefits, but for me, it was, if I was to share your property on my social media network, and someone comes on to me and said, "Oh, great, thanks, Mark. I'd be interested in viewing that," or I'm going to share it with someone that might.
Yeah.
I'm going to come on to you and say, "Do you want to do a deal?" I've got someone who wants to look at buying it. Why wouldn't you do that? So again, it's making sure the power is with the listing agent, because that's how it should be. But people that are prepared to share, or maybe are only prepared to share one property they've got, that's fine. It just creates more opportunity. And why wouldn't you want that across the network? Doesn't always have to be in the same location. There's always people who are looking and following and seeing things from all different places. But it could be relevant. Maybe you specialise in certain types of properties and you want to share that because it's a castle and you specialise in castles, as an example.
Or equestrian or something.
Or whatever that it is. It just gives you more opportunity. And that's what I get up for every single day. I think about, well, how can we create more? How can we do more? And how can we support more? That's what I do every day.
Love it. Well, we'll talk more about some of the other bits and pieces that we've built, but I think it's just important to showcase. Yes, we're a technology company. Keller Williams is. We're the #1 training company in the world. We're a technology company. We happen to do real estate now, so after all these years, that's what we've developed into a training company, a business training, mentoring, technology, etc. But it's not just about the tools that are provided by Keller Williams for automations. This is going hyperlocal. This is coming down into your niche. And the one thing that I've learned over the years is the hardest thing is doing that consistently when you get busy. You start out well, you start to get busy, you've got a million things that you're juggling. It's part of the reason why we created the team, to be able to set listings live, do anti-money laundering checks, identity checks, sales progression. We'll get into all of that and the other different support that we've built inside the market centre, but it has to start with, how am I showcasing myself as the best agent in the area? How can people find me and know that I know this market better than anybody, so that I'm chosen, first every time? And obviously, you've created the tools to do that.
I think anyone that is either half thinking about starting up and doing this, whether they're in the industry or they're not, or they're in another model, and for whatever reason, there's things that aren't quite right. I would say go and speak to a number of different models and do a tech audit. What tech does that model currently have? What's it recently released, and what's coming next? Do those three things, and you'll get to see a really clear picture of the ability of the technology.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Let's talk again on the next one.